Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you for a few minutes about one of my favorite subjects, accelerated state conditioning. As Franklin Delano Roosevelt reportedly said, I'm going to be brief, I'm going to be concise, and then I'm going to be seated. By the way, I'm open at any time to interruptions, comments, or even the occasional guffaw. I got the idea for accelerated state conditioning, which I shortened to ASK, clear back in 1976, but I've been tweaking the routine ever since. Finally, though, I'm happy to say I feel I've come up with a fast, easy, fun, and yet powerful tool for elevating mood, changing behavior like habits, compulsions, addictions. The basic idea for ASK came to me quite by accident. While practicing a speech years ago, I was selling residential real estate at the time, but not doing very well. I was extremely shy, quite overweight, I was severely depressed, and to make things worse, I suffered from sales call reluctance. Anyone here familiar with that term? Right, the reluctance to make a sales call. And when I would experience it, I could dream up every experience in the book not to make a call, especially those dreaded cold calling for sale by owners, they called it. Wow. I also had a severe case of stage fright. I can still remember the embarrassment of freezing up at my first Toastmasters meeting. I got up to speak and nothing would come out of my mouth. I had to sit down without saying a single word. That was embarrassing. Anyway, late one evening while alone in my real estate office, I was practicing what's called a listing presentation. Anyone familiar with that term? Yeah, it's a motivational talk or a sales pitch designed to impress a prospective home seller with your sales skills in hopes that they'll put their home up for sale with you, list with you, your company exclusively. Anyway, I was practicing this listing presentation out loud while looking into a mirror of sorts that had been formed by the interior lights in the office reflecting off of the large plate glass windows in the front. And after about maybe 40 or 50 minutes of huffing and puffing, I started to notice some changes in how I was feeling and how I was acting. My voice seemed to be projecting better. I was getting louder and my voice wasn't cracking quite as much, not like it does now in old age. My gestures were becoming more animated, more lively. My eye contact in the mirror felt a lot better. Normally I didn't care that much for looking at myself in the mirror, but I was starting to enjoy it. And I was feeling more relaxed, more calm, and yet at the same time more upbeat, more cheerful, more confident. And with these new feelings came a more natural desire to smile. It was more spontaneous. And I was getting excited. I started thinking, wow, maybe I really can do well in sales. Maybe I've found a way to overcome shyness. Just get in front of a mirror and start smiling and talking out loud. And I'm starting to envision success. Think back on where I was coming from, a place of weakness, and all of a sudden I'm having all these positive feelings and behavior. Well, would any of you care to venture a guess as to what happened to me that evening? Why was I feeling and acting so differently after this huffing and puffing for an hour? Sure, I was getting high, wasn't I? I would think I was experiencing what people refer to as a natural high, like a runner's high or a stage performer's high in this case. Well, of course, eventually I calmed back down after that evening and I resorted to more of my old feelings and behavior. But there were some permanent changes. For one thing, my eye contact always was better after that evening's experience. For another, I had a little less fear of making sales calls or getting onto a stage. So to make a long story short, I did start listing more homes after that evening. I became a better salesperson using that new knowledge and skill. But of course, this is nothing new now. Lots of us are aware that we can elevate our mood and confidence using a mirror, smiling. But this was over 35 years ago. And it was definitely a new experience for me. And of course, it was more important to me because I was competing with other salespeople who didn't have these handicaps. So as I say, things got better. But then I made an accidental discovery that eventually proved out to be much more significant. I noticed that during my mood elevating sessions, I would occasionally experience frisson. Is anyone here familiar with the word frisson? Yeah, that's right. It's a French word. It's referring to the physical response. There's more than one cause, but this is normally the pleasurable physical response that we experience and commonly call chills or thrill or rush. And when I experience this type of frisson, this type of chill, I usually get goosebumps, gooseflesh, and it feels great and it elevates my mood. Do any of you experience frisson, chills? What's your experience? Yeah. Well, to get back to my story, when I would experience one or more chills during the ask routine, I would reach my goal of the natural high, the stage performer's high, if you will, the upbeat, confident mood. I would reach that goal much more quickly, sometimes just within minutes. So I started thinking, if I could create these chills deliberately, in other words, at will, I could cut down on the amount of time it took me to get pumped up, to reach the natural high. And as luck would have it, again, quite by accident, I discovered something truly amazing and important. I learned that I could, in fact, trigger frisson. I learned that I could trigger chills deliberately, at will, and not just one episode. I learned I could string several of these mood elevating chills together, one right after the other, rolling chills, if you will, for an even faster, more dramatic, and more powerful and longer lasting natural high. Well, now, as of about 2 years ago, research at McGill University has shown what's going on here. This has demonstrated that chills, frisson, is caused by uh, significant elevations in a major chemical in the brain associated with reward and motivation. What chemical would that be? Yes, dopamine. So now I've got a way to elevate positive emotion in minutes. Sometimes I can create 10 or 15 chills, hard rushes in under 1 minute. And this is why I promote accelerated state conditioning. Ask as a 5 minute daily motivational routine. Technically, I could promote it as a 1 minute routine, but people wouldn't believe it. Okay, let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk about something else. Because a lot of you I know are not interested in techniques to elevate mood. But I think you'll agree most people are interested in methods for changing behavior. What, what do I mean by behavior? Yeah, definitely habits, compulsions, addictions. And especially people would be interested if there was a way that they could change things easily without a lot of suffering, without a lot of white knuckling or willpower. Well, this is where the second part of the routine comes in. The subroutine of ASK called super AFS.